weeks ago, I posted 1 or 2 videos regarding how to avoid crypto scams. And that was basically predicated on you doing some due diligence into the investments that you're basically getting involved into and looking at the code as well. I've posted a video about how you can start to read the code behind your investments. And I would strongly suggest, if you haven't done so already, watching those 2 videos. But today, slightly different crypto scam we're going to talk about, actually. Really interesting. Please stay tuned. Before we jump into the video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and let's jump into it. So I was minding my own business, just scrolling through LinkedIn, as you do, and I get this message pop up from a certain somebody. And by the way, FYI, that message has been completely deleted. But I took a screenshot of all the messages, so I'm going to show you that now. The first message I got was from a certain gentleman called Pablo Aguirre. A man like Pablo. You can see he's tried to reach out to me. Hi Joe, nice to meet you. I've not responded because probably been busy. Second message he sent me, oh hello, and he added me. So he's really trying to get my attention. And he does it again because I've not responded. So I've gone back and said, oh hey Pablo, how can I help? And then he's gone on to basically disclose why he's reaching out to me. And he says, I've got a MERN stack project as a sports platform. It has a front end and a back end, but API integration and wallet connect are not done yet. Can you help me? I will pay for your work. Well, you should pay for my work. I just basically said, what help do you need? And he's actually posted the GitHub repository associated with this project. If you can still have a look at this, great. I tried to do so, and surprise, surprise, I couldn't find it. It was deleted. He may have re-uploaded it, but at the time of this recording, it's not to be found. So the next message, excuse me, he gives me some further instructions about how to get it running. He says, if you run the project, you can see events and my network pages, but API integration is not done for these pages. I need to complete it for front end and back end. Do you understand? Now, at this point, of course, yes, I do have an understanding of what he's talking about, but I'm in the back of my head, I already know it's a scam. So I'm playing around with this geezer at this point because I thought, you know what, why not? So I said, how do you run the projects and what are the commands? He's put node package manager install, node package manager start. And I said, okay, no problem. Can I take a look at this tomorrow? It's late here. Oh, that's the truth, it was late. I need to go sleep. So the next day, I messaged him saying, oh, hi Pablo. I ran the commands and seems to be working okay. What's the next plan? His message after that is actually non-existent. He's not actually sent me a message after that. In fact, all of the messages have been deleted, and at the time of this recording, the GitHub repo is just gone. And prior to it being deleted, however, I did have a little look at the repository, and because I know a few individuals that have been susceptible to this type of scam, I already knew by looking at the repo that there was some malicious JavaScript code ready to be executed as soon as you ran the commands that he disclosed in the message. And the idea, I think, from his perspective, is to steal information and or probably funds from your crypto wallet. And that's not always the case, but from what I saw, that was basically what was happening. And so, yeah, I think it's important to make sure you see these type of scams, because you'll notice them. They'll sort of randomly reach out to you. No interviews, no question about your CV, your background. Can I have a look at your GitHub? Can we have a chat? Here's the interview process. Nothing like that. And it's important that you keep an eye out for these things, because man like Pablo's just disappeared now. And by the way, another thing, that's probably a fake person, of course. His profile, he says he's a full stack developer at More. He's got an MCCS in Ethereum or whatever. Looked at that company, couldn't really find it. There are instances very similar to this where people will sort of say they work at a company and that company's legit, but they're basically just copycat. They're just taking someone's random profile and creating their own one, just to add a little bit of credibility. Really important. But man like Pablo said, it's gone. This is a particular type of scam that you need to be aware of. If you see any type of patterns like this, it seems fishy, just don't run the projects. Maybe ignore. I had a little bit of fun with the geezer. I've done this once or twice. I've never been scammed. I know people that have been susceptible to it. So please, if you see any type of message like this, avoid it. So now that we have discovered that a man like Pablo was trying to scam me, I want to now jump into something a little bit more sophisticated. And in very similar fashion, I had a message on LinkedIn, and this is from a chap that just doesn't have a profile picture this time. But I'm actually going to show you, as it stands, he's not deleted any of the conversations. I've been having ongoing conversations with him for the last couple of days. I have screenshotted everything, and I've made sure that I've got those conversations in case that things do get deleted. But this is going to be good because we can actually go through this right now. So without further ado, so this is the name of the individual who reached out to me. And he's a freelance web developer, knows how to use React, which is a web development framework. He's got 360 connections, he's from Colombia. Interesting how that's popped up, because that Yopal, whatever that is, let's have a look. Doesn't say much about it, but in fact we could probably have a little look on here. Yopal. Let's see who they are. Go to companies. There you go. Don't know what this is. I don't even know where that is, you know. Honestly, I have no idea where this is. Let's type it into Google. See where that pops up. Oh, it's in Belgium. Right, no problem. So Yopal we know is in Belgium. Felipe may also be in Belgium, but on LinkedIn he's from Colombia. So let's scroll further down. He says he's a freelance web developer, creates this, creates that, etc., etc. using React. Actually, he says he spent 1.5 years as a web developer at a company in Colombia. He's got a degree and yada yada yada, whatever he's talking about. Scroll further down, he's got his work experience disclosed here with some of his software knowledge and skills, including Node and PHP. And that's it. That's all that's on his profile. If we go over to the message from him, see if I can expand this message. Right, let's scroll up, and I'm going to show you the entire conversation, because this is a slightly more sophisticated way of trying to potentially scam people. So here's his message. Hi Joe, nice to meet you. We are seeking a talented and experienced blockchain platform developer to join our team. As a developer, you will be responsible for building and maintaining our blockchain platform. The ideal candidate to have a strong understanding of blockchain technology, as well as experience in developing and deploying blockchain solutions. This is a great opportunity to work on cutting edge technology and be a part of a dynamic team. Strong understanding of blockchain technology, these are all the skills required. Proficiency in blockchain development frameworks, so Ethereum and Hyperledger, API integration, experience in smart contract development, knowledge of cryptography, security best practices, familiarity with decentralized applications. That's it. I'll wait for your reply. I've responded and I said, thanks Felipe, sounds interesting. What's the remuneration for this? Now, please bear in mind, I've had so many messages like this, like so many, to this point where this is again a very similar instances to dealing with a man like Pablo, I just thought I'd play the game a little bit. So I've gone back and said this. Quite a generous salary, if I'm being honest with you. Monthly salary 20k, but if your skills are high, we can discuss it again. This is our recruitment process. It says, let me ask you some basic questions. That's just like, I don't even know what he means by that. I mean, I can ask him basic questions. Well, you'll have 20 to 30 minutes to complete the test project. Then you need to interview with the CTO about our project. And if you pass all the steps, we will hire you. Does it work for you? Yeah, no problem. I've asked a simple question. Do you have a copy of my CV? What do you mean? So there was my first, already had my doubts, but there was my first red flag. I'm sat there thinking, right, you've not even read my CV. But FYI, my CV's on LinkedIn. And he's basically said, what do you mean? My CV, I'm happy for you to ask me questions. What is the nature of the test project? I've literally gone straight to it because I know that I've had previous messages in bulk now regarding test projects. You see that, alarm bell should be going off in your head. And then he says, we need to make sure that your skills about coding, code analyzing, and way of using API testing tools such as Postman through it. It's a simple API. I responded and said, okay, sure. And he says, when can we start hiring process, now or later? And I've just said, well, what is it you need to send me? How do we proceed with the test? And he says, well, we need to process from step one. I think you need to proceed. I said, no problem. So, and then now he starts to ask me questions. So this was like the first stage from the interview process that he's disclosed. And he says, how many years experience do you have in blockchain platform development? I've said 5. Do you have experience in blockchain backend API? I said 5 years, yes. Great. Did you ever create smart contracts? I said, yes, all the time. I do. Can you send me one of your smart contract addresses you created so I can check it? Great, I've got no issues with that. Normally what would happen in a proper interview process or a thorough interview process is they would ask for your GitHub and you would have like, I don't know, a public repo on there where you could just disclose some of the projects, right? So what I did instead was copy and paste a basic NFT marketplace that I created quite a while ago now, and I'll be honest with you, it's not finished. There's no testing for it. I just started writing something and it's probably not good, and I also don't care because it's not going anywhere. I hope it's not. Don't fork it. So I've sent this to him. Here's the contract, there's the events, mappings, modifiers, bloody functions. I'm just going to scroll all the way past this. Great. And he says, okay, let me check it. I said, thanks. He says, it seems very nice. So there's no questions whatsoever about the project. None. Just seems good. Okay. Then he says, finally, we need to make sure your skills about coding, code analyzing, and the way of API testing tools such as Postman. Can you build an API for testing on our test project? I said, yes, I'll give it a go. Can you send the details? And he says, okay, can you do it now? I said, yeah. Now, given the nature of what he's asking me to do, I would hazard a guess and say it's probably not going to be something I would be able to whip up within 5 minutes, which is important to bear in mind here. So he's responded and said, okay, you can find the check chain function in the project, and you need to complete this function that checks if the current chain is valid and if it returns valid or an empty chain otherwise. When you complete, please send testing results via video. And as you can see, there is a zip file associated with this message, and I assume at this point, that is where everything is going to lie. Of course, I'm going to need to download that onto my computer and then try and open it in my local IDE like Visual Studio, for example. At this point, however, I am not opting to download anything from anybody. Not right now, not later on in life, and not when I'm retired. It's just not going to happen. Don't do any of that, please, guys. If you're watching, do not download any zip files from recruiters or random people messaging you like this. It doesn't end well. I had another instance of this completely separate to this particular example today, where I actually did download a zip file from a recruiter. Again, this is off the back of a job, and it got to that point where in my head I'm not running anything. So just like the Pablo incident I showed you earlier, they wanted you to run and execute some code, and I'll be honest with you, I just didn't bother. And then he got really angry with me afterwards and said, look, you spent all day doing this. You know, I'm really disappointed. Our CTO thought that you were the one. And I was thinking, gosh, you know, it's just a job, mate. Anyway, that's a separate topic. I might jump onto that one another time. Anyway, so where were we? Right, cool. I said to him, look, I'll make a start on it. And he's chased me for it. And I said, look, I've had some trouble downloading it. Well, I've not had any trouble downloading it, of course. I'm just not doing it. And I said, can you help? He's not responded. I said, you know, hi, can you help? And he said, can you help? And then he responds and says, look, I'll just send you the invitation on GitHub. Please send me your GitHub name. So I've done that. So at this point, I'm not downloading the zip file. So he's sort of sat there thinking, right, well, let's go through GitHub instead. Because let's be honest, it's going. If he wants me to have a look at the project, it's going to be needed to be done on GitHub. So I've sent him the invitation. He's sent me an email. I've just basically clicked through. I now have access to this repo, which I'm going to show you right now. So this is the repo. Team dev info. There are no repositories. None. Like zero. And there's one follower. Let's have a look and see who it is. Georgi Vepkadze. We go onto his profile. He's got 4 repos. He's following 481 people and he's got 4 followers. These people. There's another guy that's following him called Gotcha. I wonder if he's a scammer as well. It's a bad joke. Okay, so this is the only guy that's following that company. So the company that man like Felipe works for is apparently called Team Dev Info, although on his LinkedIn he's a freelance. And there's no repos, and he's got 1 follower. So when I clicked through onto the project that he sent me, which we're going to have a look at now, this is it here. And it's in, I'm not sure what part of that's in because there was no repositories whatsoever, but here it is. This is the link that came through to me. It's called Test Project, and here it is. There's a lot of JavaScript. There's a very vague README, just basically disclosing what the project is doing and talking about transactions, installing transactions and block miners and all that. And then there's a package JSON file. Worth having a look at this as well, by the way, in case you come across a project similar. And you've got 2 other folders. This is where that check chain function is that he referenced on my LinkedIn message. So if you scroll further down, bear with me guys, here is the empty function. And he wanted me to complete this and check, as opposed to initially running the API through Postman for whatever reason he was trying to justify doing that for. Ultimately, he wanted me to complete this function. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this, guys. I'm not going to lie. I just copied it, jumped into ChatGPT and said, look, can you finish this? Can you just do it, basically? I'm busy. I haven't got time for this. So I did that, and we jumped back over to Felipe and his message. I managed to do that, and I just basically copy and pasted what ChatGPT churned out. And I said, how is it? And he says, well, if you complete it, send me the video. I said, well, why do you want a video? Well, we need to make sure that your skills about coding, code analyzing, and the way of using API testing tools such as Postman through it, again, he's just repeating himself here, and then I have to send the video to the CTO. Then you can meet with the CTO. At this point, I'm like, right, goodness sake, I mean, is this even worth my time? Like, is this really worth my time? Like, I am busy. This has kind of gone on a little bit too long. I think I've got carried completely away with this. I'm not going to lie to you. I got carried away with it. But anyway, at this point, we might as well carry on. I said, what's the name of your company, Felipe? I'd like to do some research on it. This is the name of the company that he has given that apparently he's recruiting for. And I said, well, who's the CTO here? And he says, why? I can't share it now. I'll share it after the testing complete. And I said, it's important to know beforehand. There's nothing wrong with asking that question, guys. I have conversations with lots of recruitment companies, recruiters that disclose who the CTO is. It's very transparent, really. It's a normal question. Anyway, I want to focus on the enable limited.uk entity here, because when I typed into Google, it is a real company. There's a company's house reference here in the UK. They're based down in Brighton, and they've got a legit website, got a legit LinkedIn profile, which is here. Right, that's not that person, which is here, sorry. And it's active. It's an active profile. They've got people that actually work for them, real people. Here they are. These are all real people. And the website, if I click onto it, again, looks professional. They basically provide insurance. Looks like corporate insurance. I think they might be a broker actually, because they're called Nanny Tax. Anyway, let's not go off on a tangent, but here they are. And you can actually look at the members of the team. I think there's, let me go back onto Felipe's message, and you can actually see actually, hang on a minute. There should be a red flag there straight away, because let's click onto this. All right, cool. So here's the team. That's the MD, that's head of customer operations, head of sales and marketing, and the finance and IT director, James Willett. Well, okay, so we've gone on their website. These people are on there. This is a legitimate company. And I've had a look at the MD, Jenny Bond, real person. She's been on LinkedIn a long time, as you can see. There's other people that have endorsed her. Look, this is a real person, guys. We don't need to dispute that. So, Having said that, I can't see the CTO on the website at all. No CTO. So I said to Felipe, as you saw, who was the CTO, and he says, why? As I said, you can't share it now because I need to complete the testing. And I said it's important to know beforehand. And that's it. I've not heard anything since. I actually contacted the company. I called them. Because what's happening is it's clearly a scam. I've had no correspondence since. This is the most unconventional way to try and onboard candidates or talent to your company. The most unconventional way to do it. So I've contacted them. I've disclosed everything that's going on. They literally have no idea who this person is. So they asked me to email them just to disclose what's going on. Now you might think this is a bit over the top, but this is what's happening. You know, in the name of blockchain, these scammers are trying to get you to execute code that's ultimately going to cause damage to you. You're going to regret running that code. And I think it's really important that we're all aware of this type of thing. And like I said, this conversation is pretty much ended now. He's not responded. And there's no CTO on the website. There's not a lot of things at the moment. So yeah, it's completely different in essence to the first example with man like Pablo. Completely different. But it's a very similar way to try and, you know, scam people basically. And there was a lot of things that was said that came to mind, like the lack of activity on their GitHub profile. This guy doesn't have a profile picture. Okay, you can maybe give a little bit of leeway there, but the company don't know who he is. Okay, he's a freelancer, but they're not even aware of that particular role when I spoke to them on the phone either. So there's a lot of things in this that just for me was just like, we're going to leave this, but I thought I'd go through this process today, and that's the reason why I'm doing it. You know, I'm not wasting my time. I am busy, but I wanted to go through this to show you that people are out there trying to scam you in the name of crypto blockchain, and where even in the Web 2 space, if you're not careful, and these type of things are going to increase as they have been. I've seen a horde of examples like this, not just towards myself, but to people I know that have been susceptible to this type of thing. So please be aware, guys, really important. Watch this video back. There's a couple of things you do need to look out for. Even some of the terminology that's used in the messages, you can sort of tell if someone's a genuine person or not. And just be aware basically going forwards. So that wraps up today's video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Leave a comment below. This guy, you know, man like Pablo and Felipe, they probably know each other, to be honest with you. Trying to scam me. I mean, the worst thing about all of this is they're actually trying to hack a white hat. Seems really, really sensible and logical, but having said that, you know, there are people, unfortunately, that are, you know, oblivious to this type of thing, and there is a degree of ambiguity here, but yeah. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.